I've not used this before, so I'm just trying it out.
Hey man, it's been too long since we sat down and that just feels wrong. Allow me to give my head a shake, open my eyes and fix a mistake. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit a rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Hey buddy, no strangers here. These times I hold them dear. My door's open, so come on in. This was great, let's do it again. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly.
All right. Yes, we have a show. So long as the power holds out, we have a show. It's the Wi-Fi connection, the power, it's a little bit iffy today, but we're going to do the best we can on episode 1 of Gazz and Zazz Shoot the Shit. I love it. Gaz, what is Gazz and Zazz Shoot the Shit?
Gazz and Zazz Shoot the Shit is just us talking about stuff.
We're just going to be chatting. No flashiness. The only flashiness we have is Gaz's handsome good looks. And
what? What about your handsome good looks?
Between the two of us, mate, we got it covered. So today's episode is we're talking about comics. And the good thing is, Gaz, we actually have a guest for the next episode already lined up.
We don't even have an episode done yet.
I know, we haven't even done episode 1, and we already have a guest for episode 2, and that will be Cutthroat Comics. He's going to come on to the show on our next episode 2 of Gazz and Zazz. And he's already here. He's going to check out the show. Good to see you. We'll check in with the show in a moment. I want to do real quick. I want to do the roll call, Clubhouse roll call. If you want to be part of the Clubhouse roll call, all you do is be part of Patreon. And Patreon helps me put together the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship, which I'm hard at work doing now, which is the boxing episode. It takes a lot of time. This, you know what? It's actually been a year since the last one with the Mountie versus the Hitman.
Has it been that long?
Where did last year go? Last year was such a whirlwind that it just lost all time. Anyway, so here's the roll call, starting off with Wilhelm, Toy and Hobby, Casey Wheeler, Ratface44 Reviews, or as I like to call him, Handsome Man Ratface, David Samuel Blaine, The Retro Tinker, Cindy K, Sunny Sundries, Jonathan Sorensen, Happy Accident, Joshua Allen, Adam from Go Figure, who I know is in the chat, Scuba Pete, Phil, Treasures for Trigger, Hans Chow, Ken Poe, Aussie legend Brendan Haley, Space Commander, and Jason Clark. That is the roll call. Thanks for being part of the roll call, guys. We'll just check in with the chat. So Cutthroat Comics is here. Adam is a big fan of Gaz. Can you tell?
Yeah. Let me too.
Nice. Brother Todd is in the house. Bring on the comics chat. It's coming. It's coming. Pericles, Dragon Ball Z's. Happy MLK Day. Red 5 is standing by. Is this live? It is live. As live as we can be, given the situation with the internet. We'll see how things go. Phil! We're just talking about you, Phil. Treasures for Twitter. Greetings. Give him one. Before they ruined it.
Phil.
Pains Toy Samples is also here. Evening, everyone, from JoeFan84. Facebook user saying, "You have the power." Who is that? Who's this Facebook user?
He-Man.
Shout it out loud. Ken's here. Yo!
Oh, Ken.
He's giving us a yope.
Yope.
Got to put that hard P on the end of it. At my age, every P's a hard P.
That's true enough.
I think that if I got everyone, Jewel Who 9, the best of the Jewel Who's.
Yes.
I'm going to start calling you Jewel Who 1. Hey, everybody from potentially the same Facebook user or a different one. We don't know. We got WVogs18 with a hey. How are you,
Hey.
buddy?
Hey.
And Aussie's here. Aussie. Switched over
There
from
he is.
Facebook. Oh, there you are. Well, good to see you, bud.
Boss.
Aussie's got a clubhouse of his own happening over on his channel with a bunch of other cool legends. Do check them out. Cam says, I vote for more Gazz on YouTube. Hey, Oz, long time no talk.
I think you got enough, guys.
I also vote for more Gazz on YouTube. If there was any excuse that I could have to hang out with Gazz, I was going to do it. I was like, what are we going to do? You know, like, just shoot the shit. I was like, yeah, perfect. But we have to show this picture real quick. Let me find it. If you'll indulge me for a minute. Comic books for me when I was growing up was a huge staple of my childhood, right? I'm sure it was for you, Gaz. But my mum, rest in peace, she died last year. Get over it already. I'll stop bringing it up. But she used to buy me comic books every single month. And this picture here is my bed, just splayed out with all the comic books, 3D glasses. Remember when 3D was such a cool thing?
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a blurry picture. This is actually a photo of a photo. So Mum took a photo with her phone of a photo and sent it to me. So this is a photo of a photo on my phone.
That's great.
And that's me back when I had a cool haircut and no beard.
Yeah. Look at that handsome dude.
You can see a bit of Sabretooth happening there. Ravage 2099. Venom Lethal Protector is in there. What If? What If was one of my favorite comic books. What If? Did you ever read What If?
I had a couple of them. I read the What If Wolverine was in charge. I think it was in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. or S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And then the one where, what is it? Silver Surfer beats Mephisto or something like that.
There was all, you know what? There wasn't really any, for me anyway. I loved every issue that I ever got. Thanks, Ozzy. Appreciate it, mate. I don't know why I went so weird at the end there, but I appreciate it. Anyway. Oh, and Masterversal Toy Hunter Eldor.
Hello.
Good to see you, buddy. So the good thing about the What If comics for me was if I hadn't read that line of comics, because they went back quite a bit, and I started picking up Marvel comics probably mid to late 80s to 90s, well into the 90s. And so when I was reading some of these What If comics, it was giving me an insight into storylines that I hadn't read yet, but I could understand the premise of it. So I would go back and have a look and see if I could read the original run. And one thing that I did notice, though, is more often than not in What If comics, Spider-Man didn't make it. If Spider-Man was in it, there was a good chance he wasn't going to make it to the end. It was a thumbs down for old Spidey.
Oh, on Spidey, what is your favorite Spidey costume? This is what Shoot the Shit's about. Just random questions like that. What's your favorite?
All right, so when it first, I think it came out in Web of Spider-Man, and it was only for one issue, and it was a spider armor that he came up with, and it was black and silver. In fact, I'll look it up, and that was my favorite for a very long time. But the Spider-Man spider armor, let me look that up for you. And not the most recent spider. Oh, here it is. Perfect. I found the image. But if you're talking about whether it's the Venom suit or the red and blue,
Well,
I would say
Spider-Man costume.
Oh, well, in that case, here it is.
Even the live action stuff. Hey, that's not bad. Yeah, I like that one. That's cool.
There he is. That was pretty cool. I think he made the armor out of hard webbing. JLS Comics is in their house. This is the guy that we need to have on the show. This is the perfect person to have on the show. JLS Comics, we'll invite you onto a future episode, mate. We've been dying to have you on to talk about this stuff. If you haven't seen JLS Comics, and why haven't you? It's not all about comics either. Sometimes it's about just characters in general. G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Great channel.
It all goes back to it anyway.
I'm always intimidated when it comes to JLS Comics because he knows his stuff. But we definitely, if you're interested, JLS, hit us up because I want to have you on this channel for sure. But I think that, and anyone correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty certain that spider armor, he created it by making his webbing super hard. Like he made it out of super hard webbing in a lab.
Doesn't his webbing like dissolve though? Eventually, over time,
doesn't it disintegrate?
Yeah,
it does. I think what's the timeline on Spidey's webbing? I think it used to be like an hour.
An hour.
Could you imagine if there was just webbing all over the city that just stayed there? But then you also have to make sure if your webbing only lasts an hour and you web somebody upside down on top of a light post, that somebody has to come there and pick them up.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it lasts longer than an hour. That's maybe why John G. Jameson thinks that he's a menace, because he leaves all that webbing everywhere.
Hey, Cindy's here.
Hello, Cindy.
How are you, Cindy? Good to see you, Cindy. Cindy, we're going to have you back on a live stream as well soon. Cindy was a great lot of fun on the games night.
I remember.
But we'll bring the games nights back. And Josiah is here. How are you, buddy? 24 hours, Adam reckons, for his webbing line. So, but the problem with that is, I don't think it was that long, because if it was that long and you webbed somebody to a wall and the police showed up, then the police would have to wait around for 24 hours before they could take them.
Yeah, because they wouldn't be able to cut through it, right?
All right, so my vote is an hour. Adam's vote is 24 hours. So if anyone else has anything in between, where do you sit on that, Gaz?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 6, maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Can anyone fact check that for us? You know what? I have Google. I can find out for us. What was your favorite Spider-Man outfit?
So I have 2. My all-time favorite is just the black costume, not the Venom suit. But after he lost the Venom suit, he wore a black costume for a while. The same obviously looked like that. And then there was a. Hold on one second. Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, buddy. All right, let me check on here. How long does the webbing last for Spider-Man? In the comics and movies, Spider-Man's webbing typically dissolves after about an hour.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, buddy. We're all good. I'll just sit here and shoot the shit. This allows him to use it for various purposes without leaving a mess behind. You can't always trust what Google says. You cannot always. Google is your friend. Is it though? We'll find out. Yeah. I did not fact check any of my information before doing this live stream. And that's all a part of shooting the shit, is that you don't have to be prepared. You're just going to maybe we're going to get some stuff wrong. Maybe we just convince each other of that things are real that aren't real. Retro Tinker is in the house. G'day, everybody. That's 3 g'days. Divide that amongst yourself. I thought it was 3, but the top 2 Google answers say 1 hour and 2 hours. See, that's what I mean. The thing is, I bet I could probably Google how long does the webbing last for, and there's probably an answer there that does say 24 hours. You're not always wrong. Yeah, bloody Gaggle. Gaggle strikes again. Elder is saying, but there's probably that many spiders and spider webs around town that nobody notices. Maybe not. So I think, did somebody comment about the spider armor? I thought I saw that up here. The spider armor, here we are. Thank you, Pericles. I knew you'd know. This is another person I'd love to have on the show as well. You're just a wealth of knowledge. That armor is actually made from pseudo-metallic compound Peter Parker developed at Empire State University. There you go. I knew he created it, and I know it didn't last the whole comic. He started off with the armor. No, well, he perfected the armor in that issue, wore that armor for a brief moment, and then lost it by the end of the fight. So by the end of the episode, it's gone. And it never showed up again in the comics, at least not while I was still reading them. I'm sure that they've retroactively brought it back. They also did have it in the cartoon. He's back.
Sorry about that. My neighbor had an accident, so he asked me to do something for him.
Are they okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He had a problem with his eye. Everything's good. Sorry about that.
It's all right. We're gonna have to Google how much a baby hippo weighs real quick. I don't know, man.
All right, baby hippo. What happened? What happened? What happened when I was done?
What's your guess, Adam? Is it 24 kilos. How much does a baby hippo weigh? 50 to 100 pounds. Oh, woo. There you go. 50 to 100 pounds. It showed up in the finale of the Spider-Man animated show. Yeah. I love that show. It was so good. Gap is here. How are you, buddy? And Mr. Sweeney himself. Hey, gents, want to say hello to you both. Thanks, matey. We'll have to get you at the Clubhouse when you get a moment.
I haven't seen Ryan in a while.
Yeah. I saw him on a stream the other day. He was talking classifieds.
Oh, yeah.
They're weighing in on all the classifieds. It was a good show.
What was that? Was that a Toy Kind of Mood?
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't Toy Kind of Mood. No, it was not Toy Kind of Mood. Ryan will have to remind us. A baby hippo weighs 38 hydro vipers, according to Gaggle. I thought so. That's not a lot of hydro vipers, but we can't trust Gaggle. I'm sucking back sugar-free Fanta today, by the way. There's no vodka in it, which is unfortunate. So you had the black suit, Gaz. That was one of your favorites.
Just the standard black suit. I mean, the Venom suit's cool, but the standard black suit. And then there was another one that he did a team up with Wolverine.
Yes.
It took place in Germany, and he had to go to a costume shop because he didn't have a spider suit with him, and he got a Spider-Man suit from a costume shop, and it said Spider on the back. that's my second favorite one. So it's a basic suit.
That's right. It was the lads at Toy Domination. That's the live stream.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, that was a goodie.
I miss them all the time because they come on at like 8 when I'm coming home from work. So by the time I get home, they're already over.
So the black Spider-Man suit, I remember the issue where he got Mr. Fantastic to help him get rid of the Venom suit.
Yeah.
And then after he got rid of the Venom suit, he was wearing a leftover Fantastic Four suit and the paper bag on his head with a sign that said, "Kick me on the back," as put on by the Human Torch. But after he got the black suit again, just not the Venom suit, not the symbiote, but
standard black suit.
Was he shooting webs like the old-fashioned way, or is he still shooting them?
So. I think he's shooting them like this. It might have been doing it like that too. I don't know.
Because the organic webs were coming out the top of his hands from the Venom suit.
Because then they had that female Spider-Man, not Spider-Woman, but there's another one that wore a black suit. She did the black suit with like the white. I think they were like white thigh-high boot type.
Yeah,
of thing.
That was still Spider-Woman.
Was it still Spider-Woman?
No, not Jessica Drew. Jessica Drew was the original Spider-Woman, right?
Yeah.
This was
with the red.
There was a second Spider-Woman, and she
had like telekinesis abilities or something like that. No, that was Spider-Woman.
So she was part of West Coast Avengers as well, I believe, and she had the suit first, and then Spider-Man modeled his suit after her suit in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
What was her name? I think she's now in the comic book.
I think they called her Spider-Woman too, right? As well.
Yeah, she was still Spider-Woman. I think she's changed that now, though.
West Coast Avengers, not to be confused with the Great Lake Avengers.
Right. Who could confuse the two? Did you have a preference though, out of the regular Avengers title and the West Coast Avengers?
When I was a kid, I didn't read the Avengers, but as an adult, I think I just go standard Avengers. Even though I kind of like the idea of like the lower grade heroes getting together and forming their own Avengers group. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So West Coast Avengers had Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
It had War Machine. I think it had Iron Man and War Machine. I think it had both of them.
We can double check.
And I think it had Tigra. Is that her name?
Tigra.
But the lineups, I think Hercules in the main Avengers, or was Hercules in the West Coast? Wonder Man was definitely in there.
It looks like so. Here's the cover for the first one right there.
Yeah. So
it looks like Cyclops, Mockingbird, Wonder Man, Black Widow, Tigra, Hercules, Namor, I'm trying to see if I can remember all these off the top of my head. Looks like what's the speedster's name? Magneto's son.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. I'm thinking that might be Cloak without dagger. I don't know who the blonde girl. Maybe that's Miss Marvel. Puck. Don't know who the guy. I don't know who this guy is right here. The wolf head.
So, who was that? That was, I want to say like Red Fang. You know, those characters aren't all in the West Coast Avengers. Though he's putting the team together, and he's like, this is that issue. We look at the cover and go, oh, who's going to make the team? I don't think Puck was going to make the team.
When they had them, when they used to have them all surrounding the borders, like all the characters.
Yes.
Like all these guys are in this comic. I'm gonna read this.
Yeah, nice. Happy accident. How are you, buddy? One of the great images that I remember seeing as far as Venom is concerned, Spider-Man was going up against Mysterio, and it was one of these images that he put into his brain of Venom that had overtaken Galactus. So it's Galactus with the Venom suit on. That's pretty cool.
Could the symbiote actually do that?
No, it didn't. It only did it in Spidey's mind because of what Mysterio was doing.
But I mean, like in like the regular universe, you think that could happen?
I don't think I don't think so, because he's got he's got the power cosmic. He would just like wipe it off. He'd be like, nah.
Like how are you, Blues? If Godzilla was there, do you think a symbiote could cover him? One symbiote. Ronnie Trickside, how are you, buddy? Look, that's a good question, and I reckon because I mean, you can correct me. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but Carnage was just a drop of symbiote left over from Venom, right? That got onto his capacity.
In the comics. It was an offspring. Like he reproduced asexually.
Because I thought it was in the comic where Venom escaped from Stryker's Island or wherever islands that they have, the prison, and there was like a drip of symbiote left, and it got on the Cassidy, and then he became Carnage. And that's why he was mostly red with some black streaks, because it wasn't enough to cover his body.
So I know that they I'm sure I remember that image, but I don't know if that was a drip left behind by Venom or an actual just the lifespan of the symbiote producing more symbiote.
I'm sure that they probably retold that story again.
But I remember reading a comic where the Carnage was the symbiote of Carnage was in the bloodstream of Cletus Cassidy, and he had to cut him to release the symbiote. And there was one comic where he's all tied up and like Hannibal Lecter, and he actually had filed back one of his teeth to a sharp point and pierced his tongue to release the symbiote. That was pretty cool.
So you have to bleed it out?
Yeah. It's not on him necessarily. It's in him. It's in his bloodstream.
Oof. I don't know about that. You can keep that. I'd just rather have the Venom suit.
Speaking of favorite suits, though, where do you sit on the Wolverine suits?
Oh, it's the brown suit.
Right. Yeah.
Hands down.
I'm all the way at that too. I do like Wolverine in his yellow and blue suit when they're all dressed in yellow and blue.
Yeah.
Right? When the whole team is dressed like that, I think that's cool. I didn't really like when they're all wearing the one jumpsuit. That happened for a little bit, but the brown suit,
the standard X-Men suit. I think that if you're gonna do the comic book, if you're gonna do the X-Men comic book, they should all be wearing the X-Men suit when they're as X-Men. You know what I mean? Rather than all dressed like in their own outfits, because I think to me it just looks more. It looks a little better.
What about Gambit though? Gambit in the yellow and blue looks ridiculous.
But then he just threw the overcoat on.
Yeah, but still, I like the armor look for Gambit. Do you remember what your first comic book was?
My first comic book.
Yeah.
I think it was a comic That was a German comic book. My grandmother bought for me. It was called, I believe, Fix and Foxy. These two little like red foxes, kind of like a Walt Disney style comic book. But my like real first comic, like that I got myself, and read like cover to cover and read over and over again, was I traded it for, I think, maybe some GI Joes to some kid, and he gave me this beat up copy of a reprinting of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, and I read that cover to cover over and over again. Copied the pictures. That got me into comics, and then I discovered there was a comic book store downtown in the city that I lived in, and I went there and I started buying all these comics. It was mostly like not mainstream like Marvel or DC or anything. It was like I was reading stuff like Judge Dredd, Martial Law. Yeah. All these like beat up comics, because I would buy these like packs and just have a bunch of comics thrown in there.
Yeah,
like $5.
Random stuff.
Yeah. So nothing I remember clearly, because I wouldn't have like long runs. I'd have like a comic, like an issue here and there. You know, I had like these crazy like female comics that were like Femme Force or something like that. It's all female heroes, because they were all in these packs. So then
I remember getting those sort of packs at like the show, like show bags and stuff.
Yeah.
Pericles is not a fan of the pink Gambit, so you've got someone on your side there, Gaz. But I remember I never read the original Ninja Turtles, but I did pick up the Archie comics. So that was after the TV show had hit. So I didn't even know about Ninja Turtles until the cartoon and the toys. I didn't know about the original comic. So I would pick up those Archie comics, and those are some pretty cool stories, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
like when Raph and the guys become wrestlers, and Raph's in that all black suit. Are you familiar with that look?
No, I do not. That no, I never read those versions of them.
They were so good. They were a bit goofy sometimes, but sometimes people died.
Yeah. I mean, like in the first issue of TMNT, they toss Shredder off the roof with a grenade, and he goes
right.
But no, I just. The art was fantastic in those early issues. Not that the art isn't good now, or the versions of the Turtles that are out now in the comics and stuff isn't good, but that original version of the four Turtles is just, it's keen to me. They're short. They're like little ninjas. I love it.
Yeah. I've read since probably my early 20s. I did go back and read those original Turtle comics. And you know they were good, but I like the story. I like the style, but it made the Ninja Turtles movie a lot more clearer, because not knowing that lore and going into the movies and only watching the cartoons and reading the comics, it's like what is happening? What is happening here? Why aren't the foot soldiers robots?
Well, the movie kind of blended both of them together in a neat way. This is the first one did anyway.
Well, because of the change of the bandanas.
Yeah.
Instead of being all red.
Gru the Wanderer, yeah, I remember that.
One of my earliest comic book memories, my granddad on my dad's side came to stay with us for a bit. And I was sitting there reading a Ninja Turtle comic. And he goes, "What do you got?" I said, "I got a comic." And he goes, "Oh, I like comics." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, good, right? I can actually relate to my granddad." I was excited. I was pumped, right? Pumped, jazzed. I'm like, "Oh yeah, my granddad, he's into comics." So I go, "Oh, we'll check this one out." He looks at it and he goes, "What is this?" I said, "It's Ninja Turtles." He goes, "Don't you have any real comics like, you know, Mickey Mouse or Phantom or something?" I was like, "No, that's all I got."
Mickey Mouse or Phantom? It's Turtles.
Yeah. So Phantom was a book. Phantom was a book that I only read the strips, the comic strips in the newspaper. Yeah. I never actually picked up any of the Phantom comics, but I enjoyed the strips. You know, because if you got an action panel, because you only ever got for us anyway, in our newspaper, we only ever got like maybe 4 panels or 2 or 3, depending on, you know, like the length of the right. So if you got a good action part of it, then you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. You got a few little panels here of some action. If you just got a little bit of an explanation, no,
not too fun today. Yeah,
I'll come back next week.
Those were the good ones. There was like another There was another one on there too. I forget what the name of it was. I'm just drawing a blank.
Well, Happy Accident saying that he got in trouble in high school by his art teacher for drawing the Mirage Turtles in his sketchbook. She put you in isolation for a couple of weeks.
I used to draw them on the desk in pencil.
My brother's a super cool artist, very good at what he does, and he can draw anything. You just ask him to draw it, he can draw it. But I remember everyone was drawing Ninja Turtles everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so he drew. My younger brother used to do the same thing, right? So me and my younger brother, if ever Todd, my older brother, wasn't very happy with a picture, he'd go, this is no good. And so me and my younger brother would pick those up and go, oh, well, if he doesn't want it, I'll go and walk around with it. You know, just as throwaway junk. Just go, check out this Ninja Turtle picture. But mine were very basic.
Really
I
basic?
couldn't even draw a stick figure.
Oh, come on, you can draw a stick figure. Anybody can.
No,
it's
too wide.
They used to make us cover our school books with paper. Like we were supposed to cover them. Like you couldn't leave them like the original cover, so you put them over. So you'd always take like a paper bag, and then you would cover the book, right? So I do that, and then I just draw like turtles and all kinds of stuff all over it.
Nice. I think most of my books in school were covered in little drawings and stuff. Like even the stuff that I had to submit. Like if we had to submit a piece of paper, there would always be like a little doodle or something. Not a doodle, guys. Not a real doodle, but like a drawing. I used to submit this work and have little drawings on it. Yeah. And it got to a point where if I submitted a piece of paper and I didn't have a little drawing on it, the teacher would be disappointed and go, no drawing today. I was like, oh, oops, give me a second. But they were never very good. Have you got a favorite comic book run?
I would probably say my favorite comic book run would be that like first like 10 issues of 10 or 15 issues of the Jim Lee X-Men back in the early 90s with Chris Claremont writing. That was like the pinnacle for me. I was like I had gotten this like huge collection of comics from my stepfather's friend. Like he didn't want them any, so he gave them to me. I was just going through them all. I had a ton of X-Men comics going back to like I think early 100s. 100s into like the early, like in that early phase, like upper like in the 90s, 80s and 90s up until 100s and stuff. So I had the Inferno Saga, is that what it's called? Where with Madeline Pryor, going up to like the Reavers trying to destroy the X-Men. That cool cover with Wolverine crucified on the giant X. Yeah, that stuff, and that was really those marks.
That's not the. I don't remember. Oh yeah, no, I do know which one you're talking about now. I got confused with the Angel one for a second there, where he's crucified with his wings splayed out.
Yeah, that was the what was it? The Morlock. Extermination with that group of not Reavers. What were they called? I forget the name. It's Sabretooth. Had that dude with the spear, Riptide was her name.
Yeah.
Did all that crazy stuff and led by Mr. Sinister, and they killed all the Morlocks. Then they killed the
Nasty Boys? No. Mr. Sinister did have it. Were they the Nasty Boys? I know Mr. Sinister had a group called the Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys. That's the storyline where Apocalypse gets Angel and turns him into Archangel. Or Death. I think it's Death, right? He becomes Death in the Four Horsemen. Yeah. But then it led into that Jim Lee area. Jim Lee was like phenomenal, and I was taken in by the art. The stories were great. Chris Claremont writes a great book, but the art was just crazy, and I was just copying those images into my notebooks because I was like, this guy's awesome. So that run of X-Men is like gold to me. It's like what I used to just read, and I read that up until I think Extinction Agenda. I think it was like the next big storyline they had, and then it got all like, to me it got all like soap opera, and I was like, I don't want to read this anymore. There was more word dialogue bubbles than there was the action.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like,
they giving Cyclops that he started just like anything was game now for Cyclops. He was going after Psylocke.
What's her name there? The White Queen.
A bit later on. Yeah. So I actually found a copy of X-Men 1 and X-Force 1 last year, and I went back and reread them. And X-Force, I liked X-Force. X-Force 1 was not that great, but X-Men 1 was very good. The Marauders, there we are.
The Marauders.
I'm only familiar with one Marauders, where Mr. Sinister's original hit squad. Cheers, buddy.
Oh, could you imagine if Sarge and the Marauders were working for Mr. Sinister and you're hunting down Joes?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, the new X-Men season.
Oh, is it on there? I got to check that out.
No, not yet. I'm looking forward to it, though. So my favorite, I've got two that I remember really enjoying, and that was Maximum Carnage.
Yeah.
I love that. They had the game tie-in and everything, and also Executioner's Song. Yeah. Which was the first time that I really had to go out there and hunt for every single X comic, and there was also the Strife files, which was like his files in the mind of Strife. Just a great storyline.
Executioner Song. That was where Magneto was ahead of that that mutant country, right? Do I have that right?
No. So Executioner's Song starts with Professor X getting shot and murdered by Cable.
Oh, okay. All right, I think I remember that one.
So Cable attempts to murder Professor X, and then there's a whole big thing. And then it turns out, spoiler alert, it turns out at the end that Strife is a clone of Cable.
Yeah.
And it was Strife that did it. But there's this whole B storyline with Bishop, Cable, and Wolverine. You're mixing characters together from X-Force, X-Factor, and X-Men. It was just a sensational story, and all the baddies are in it. You got Mr. Sinister was there, Apocalypse was there. It was crazy.
Who's your favorite? I don't know. It's hard to say X-Men villain because you mix a lot of the X-Men villains up with just Wolverine's villains because they usually tied in together. But who is your favorite villain in the X-Men or in Marvel in general? X-Men and Marvel in general, I guess.
All right. Well, I'll try and pick an X-Men specific one first. And I would say, I guess I like the idea of Juggernaut, right? Because he's just a pissed off younger brother with an attitude against Professor X. I think they're like they're half brothers or they're step brothers or something.
I think he's a step brother. Yeah.
Right. No mutant powers at all. He just
magic.
Yeah, exactly right. And the only thing that can stop him is to take the helmet off and give him a psychic attack. But just the look of him, the unstoppable Juggernaut. And I've seen him go up against the Hulk. I've seen him go up against the Blob. Did he go up against the Blob, or am I just thinking of a trading card I saw one time?
He might have because I think he was with the X-Men for a short stint, right? He was an X-Men for a little bit, and I think he did fight the Blob. I think he did. When you say that, all I think about is I think is it John Romita? His artwork, I think it's him, where he's fighting Colossus, and Colossus is like dropping an entire bar on him.
Yeah. It's the end, and Colossus ends up becoming Juggernaut, but which I think Ken's trying to get to. But this comic line here, Fatal Attractions, I loved this. I loved it. It had the holographic cards on them, which from experience I can tell you do not peel off the covers, so don't do that. But when the bones were ripped from Wolverine by Magneto, I was thinking to myself, how did he not do this before?
Right.
It was so effective. But I guess Magneto in his own way was not truly ever like a villain. But this was the first time where I thought, oh, okay, this is serious now, right? Because you can't just grow adamantium back. And the big reveal of the bone claws
was that he actually
was wild. That was wild, and the gnarly look of them, where they're all sort of like, oh, they don't look crisp and clean like the adamantium ones. But also, one final point though is that's when Wolverine gave up the cigars, because his healing factor was shot to almost nothing. And before
he went feral, right?
Yeah,
he turned like a caveman. I didn't like that aspect of it. I like the idea that they took his adamantium away, which means that, like, you know, he's not as powerful as he used to be.
Right.
You know?
Well, he was almost overpowered by this point in the comics, right?
Yeah.
And then later on, he would also become even more like outrageous. Like I saw, I stopped reading the comics by the time the 2000s came along, but every so often I'd pick up just a stray comic, and I saw one where Wolverine was pretty much obliterated to nothing, and yet he still had enough to build himself back together again. Like,
but how does he do that? Because if he builds himself back together again, there's no adamantium, right? Because
I think he went around the adamantium bones. Like,
all right, so they were still there. All right,
some bit of flesh was still remaining, or something.
Because I'm thinking back to the first appearance of Wolverine, where the Hulk rips him in half.
Yeah.
How does that?
That was in the Ultimate Universe.
It was in the Ultimate Universe. Yeah, all right. I get them mixed up because I read some of the Ultimate stuff, like the Ultimates, which is the Avengers, and that first block was really cool.
So, if Wolverine got ripped in half, would his legs grow back or would his head grow back?
Well, I think he would be dead though, because, you know, his spinal cord's ripped in half. He's not going to live after that, I don't think, right? That's too much trauma. But then again, if he can grow back from nothing, yeah, I guess so.
Well, that's what I mean. He didn't like the bone claws, but if he came back and from just a small amount of matter, you know, whether it was muscle tissue or whatever it was, I can't remember exactly, but I mean, that's pretty OP. That's too OP.
So I think what you're trying to say is, will his lower body grow an upper body and his upper body grow a lower body, so there'll be two Wolverines?
Yeah, but one's got bone legs.
One's got bone legs, one's got just a. So he just does a lot of kick attacks.
Yeah. He doesn't have the adamantium claws, but he's got adamantium legs. How come he doesn't kick more things? Surely he'd be able to kick some stuff and do some major damage.
So do you like him as, like, because they portray him as like a samurai, so he's a martial artist.
Yeah.
Or do you like him as just like, because when you're first introduced to him, he's just a brawler, right?
Yeah.
It's like a little guy that wants to fight, just fights, right? So what do you prefer? Do you prefer Wolverine brawler, or do you prefer Wolverine like martial artist?
I think this is a great comment. This is the age old. If you keep replacing parts of a ship, is it still the same ship? And if you use those bits to build a new ship, is that now the ship? That's me really just butchering that whole thing, but that's the concept of it.
How much of the original Wolverine is still left?
Exactly. Kick attacks like the Flash.
There you go.
It was a droplet of blood. A droplet of blood, according to Pericles, was able to bring back Wolverine entirely.
Well, I mean,
I don't like Wolverine necessarily as the whole like that whole Japan storyline. It was interesting as to, you know, to get him out of the X-Men for a little bit. Probably a little bit more interesting than him being Patch.
Yeah, that's where we go.
But I much prefer him as the pub brawler.
Yeah, me too.
Where, you know, he's doing the most he can to get as drunk as he can, because his healing factor keeps kicking back on it. and he just gets into fights because he knows that he's going to be fine when he does, but he's just always pissed off.
So, favorite X-Men villain, and then we'll touch on the regular.
Question. What were his claws made out of when he was half Batman in the Amalgam comics? It was dark. Was that called Dark Knight? Dark Claw. Dark Claw.
This is a good topic because I have this brilliant idea for a crossover with the X-Men in DC.
Okay, let's hear it.
A brilliant idea. Well, it's not all of DC, but you could fit all of DC into it. But so my idea is, okay, let's hear me out. Okay, so we know how it's going to involve the X-Men, right? Because they were my favorite growing up, right?
Yeah.
So you know how Xavier finds Scott Summers, right? He finds him in an orphanage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Alex is with him, right? I think it's just him. So my thing is, so you have the beginning of Superman when he comes, everything that happens in Superman, right? Krypton blowing up, he falls and lands in Kansas, and the Kents find him. Okay, so instead of the Kents raising him, right, they give him, because the original story, it wasn't the Kents, it was another family, and they gave him up for adoption, right? They brought him to a home. So my idea is that this happens. So he's I think he's gone. I think he went out. I think he's gone. But anyway, so my idea is that he's taken to the orphanage, kept in the orphanage, and he meets Scott Summers. They kind of grow up together. And when Charles Xavier comes to get Scott Summers, he takes both of them back to the X-Mansion and he raises them there, or teaches them how to become X-Men there. And then you would have Superman as an X-Men character, and then you would just filter in all the DC characters into the Marvel universe as their own characters, and just go there and do the timeout. So I think he's gone. Yep, he's gone. I was going to message him and see what's going on. I don't know if the stream's going to shut down because it's off of his deal. Hold on 1 second. So I think I'm just gonna end the stream here. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get back, and I can't control anything on the stream. So we'll pick this up another time, guys. Sorry. All right.
Am I back? Sorry, guys. The power went out. It was, it was hit and miss there for a second. My apologies. We'll call it a night. It's still on for me. But my and sudden abrupt end to the first episode of Shooting the Shit. How long was I out for? It's like drinking rum. How long was I out for? Alrighty. This is true. Yep. I did lose power. Mucho apreciado to those that did tune in. It was fun anyway. It was fun while it lasted. I'll just check and see if Gaz is in the house. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Oh, and Todd sent me a picture of that Spider-Man armor that I was a big fan of. All right, well, good night, all. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next episode, hopefully, if the internet holds out. Goodbye.